I'm tired of explaining this to people. I really am. But if telling my story stops even one other retired guy from making the same mistake I did, then maybe it's worth reliving. My name is Heinrich. I'm 62 years old. I'm German. I worked 38 years as an electrical systems engineer for Siemens. I retired with a solid pension, 4,200 euros a month. That's about 4,800 US dollars, enough to live comfortably in Germany, enough to live very comfortably in the Philippines. That last part is important, because that's exactly what Dalice was counting on. I met Dalice through my colleague's wife. That detail matters. I didn't meet her on some dating app. I didn't go looking for a Filipina bride. My colleague Martin had married a Filipina woman named Grace 15 years earlier. They lived in Munich. They were happy. Grace had a younger cousin back in the Philippines, Dalice, 34 years old, never married. Working as a customer service representative in a call center in Manila, Grace showed me photos during a company dinner. She's a good girl, Heinrich, very respectful, looking for serious relationship only. Maybe you two talk. I was lonely. I'd been divorced for 12 years. My ex-wife Petra had remarried. My daughter lived in Hamburg with her own family. I saw her twice a year if I was lucky. Retirement was 3 months away. I was staring down the barrel of an empty apartment and empty days, so I said yes. Grace could give Dalice my email address. Dalice wrote to me that same week. Her English was excellent. Call center training, she explained. She was polite, curious about Germany. She asked about my work, my hobbies, my life. She sent me photos. She was pretty. Slim. Long, dark hair. Bright smile. We emailed for 2 months. Then we moved to video calls. Twice a week at first. Then every night. She'd call me after her shift at the call center. It would be morning for me. I'd have my coffee. She'd have her dinner. We'd talk for an hour, sometimes 2. She never asked me for money. Not once during those first 4 months. I want to be clear about that. She wasn't like the stories you hear. She didn't have a sick mother who needed surgery. She didn't have tuition she couldn't pay. She just talked to me, listened to me, laughed at my jokes. I fell for her. Of course I did. I was a 61-year-old divorced man being given attention by a beautiful 34-year-old woman. I'm not stupid. I knew the age gap was significant, but she insisted it didn't matter to her. Filipino culture is different, she said. Age means wisdom and stability. She dated younger Filipino men before. They were immature, unreliable. She wanted someone established, someone ready for a real partnership. I wanted to believe her, so I did. After 6 months of video calls, I told her I wanted to visit the Philippines, meet her in person, see if what we had online translated to real life. She was excited. She helped me plan the trip, what areas to visit, where to stay. She took vacation time from her call center job to spend the 2 weeks with me. I flew to Manila in March 2023. She picked me up at the airport. I recognized her immediately. She looked exactly like her photos. She hugged me right there in the arrivals area. It felt real. She felt real. Those 2 weeks were perfect. She showed me around Manila. We took a trip to Palawan, visited the beaches, the underground river. She introduced me to her family, her mother, her 2 younger brothers, her aunt and uncle. They all lived in a small house in Quezon City, 4 bedrooms for 7 people. The house was old, concrete blocks, tin roof, but clean, well kept. Her mother cooked for us. Traditional Filipino food, adobo, sinigang, lumpia. Everyone was welcoming, friendly. They asked me about Germany, about my work, about my plans for retirement. On the last night of my trip, Dalice and I sat on the balcony of my hotel in Manila. The city lights spread out below us. She held my hand. "I'm going to miss you when you leave," she said. "I'll miss you too," I told her. "Heinrich, do you think we could have a future together?" I looked at her. What kind of future? A real one. Marriage. A life. Together. My heart was pounding. "Are you saying you'd move to Germany?" She smiled. A small, hopeful smile. "If you'd have me. if you think we could make it work. I kissed her. Yes, yes. I think we could make it work. We decided that night. I would sponsor her visa. She would come to Germany. We would get married. Build a life together. I flew back to Munich the next day. I was already researching the German spouse visa process on the plane. German immigration law is complicated. Much more complicated than I expected. For Dalise to come to Germany as my spouse, we had two options. 1. Get married in the Philippines first. Then apply for a spouse visa. 2. She applies for a fiancé visa to come to Germany. We marry here, then she gets her residence permit. We chose option 2, the fiancé visa. It seemed simpler. She could come to Germany. We'd have 90 days to marry. Then she'd get her residence permit immediately. I was wrong about it being simpler. First, I needed to prove I could financially support her. The German government required proof of income. I had to submit my pension statements, 3 months of bank records, a letter from my pension fund. I made, well above the minimum requirement. The threshold was about 1,800 euros per month, and I was receiving 4,200, but they wanted documentation for everything. Then there was the Verpflichtungserklärung, a formal declaration that I would cover all her costs while in Germany. Housing, food, health insurance, everything. I had to sign it at the Ausländerbehörde, the immigration office. It cost nothing to sign, but it was legally binding. Next came the documents from Dalise's side. Birth certificate, police clearance, proof she was unmarried. All of these had to be translated into German by a certified translator. Each translation cost between 50 and 80 euros. 4 documents, 300 euros just for translations. Then the visa application itself. She had to fill out forms. National visa application form, supplementary declaration form. She needed photos, specific size, specific background color. Health insurance coverage starting from her arrival date. I had to purchase a policy before she even had the visa. 420 euros for 3 months of coverage. The application fee for the visa was 75 euros. Not much, but it added up. During all of this, 2 months of gathering documents, translating them, preparing everything, Dalise was perfect. She called me every single day. She thanked me constantly for helping her, for doing all this work, for paying for everything. I know this is a lot, Heinrich. I'm so grateful. I promise I'll make you happy. I didn't mind spending the money. I was retired. I had savings. What else was I going to spend it on? This was my chance at happiness, at companionship, at love. We submitted her visa application to the German embassy in Manila in June 2023. Then we waited. The German embassy website said processing time was 8 to 12 weeks. Dalise checked the status online every day. I'd wake up to messages from her. Still under review. No update yet. They haven't contacted me. She was anxious. I was anxious. We video called every night. She told me about her day at the call center. I told her about my day. Grocery shopping, reading, long walks, waiting for her. I can't wait to be there with you, she'd say. To wake up next to you every morning. To cook for you. To take care of you. It sounded so good. 8 weeks passed. No decision. 10 weeks. 12 weeks. Still nothing. I called the embassy. They told me these things take time. Background checks. Document verification. They couldn't give me a timeline. Dalise was getting frustrated. What if they reject me, Heinrich? What if I can't come? They won't reject you, I said. We have everything they asked for. We just have to be patient. 14 weeks. 16 weeks. 4 months after we submitted the application, the embassy finally contacted Dalise. They wanted her to come in for an interview. She was terrified. What if I say something wrong? What if they think I'm lying? I coached her, told her what to expect. Be honest. Be yourself. Tell them about us, about our relationship, about our plans. The interview was scheduled for October 18th, 2023. A Wednesday. Dalise took the day off work. She dressed conservatively. White blouse, black skirt, She sent me a photo before she left for the embassy. Wish me luck. You don't need luck, I texted back. Just be yourself. The interview lasted 45 minutes. I wasn't there, obviously. She called me right after. She was crying. Dalise, what happened? Did they reject you? No, I'm so relieved. The officer was very serious, very strict. She asked so many questions. What did she ask? How we met, how long we've known each other, if we've met in person, what your job is, what my job is, where we'll live in Germany, if I speak German, if I plan to work. She asked about the age difference. She asked if your family knows about me. What did you tell her? I told her the truth. That Grace introduced us, that you visited me in Manila, that we've been talking for almost a year, that I'm learning German, that your daughter knows about me. My daughter did know about Dalise. I'd told her about 6 months into the relationship. She was skeptical. Dad, be careful. You don't really know this woman. The age gap is huge. Just be smart about this. I'd assured her I was being smart. That I wasn't sending money. That I was taking it slow. The officer seemed satisfied, Dalise continued. At the end, she said my application would be reviewed and I'd hear back in 2 to 3 weeks. 2 weeks later, Dalise got the email. Visa approved. She screamed when she called me. Heinrich, I got it. I got the visa. I felt pure relief, pure joy. That's wonderful. When can you come? The visa is valid for 90 days from the date of issue. I can book a flight any time. When do you want me to come? As soon as possible. She booked a flight for November 8th, 3 weeks away. She'd arrive in Munich. I'd pick her up. We'd start our life together. Those 3 weeks felt like 3 years. I prepared the apartment, cleared out space in the closet for her clothes, bought new sheets, new towels, stocked the kitchen. I wanted everything to be perfect. Dalise sent me updates constantly. She was packing. She was saying goodbye to her family. She was so excited, so grateful, so in love. I can't believe this is really happening, she said on our video call the night before her flight. I'm going to be with you tomorrow. I can't wait, I told her, and I meant it. I had no idea what was coming. Actually, let me back up a moment. I need to tell you more about that embassy interview. Because looking back now, there were things Dalise said during that interview that I didn't think about at the time. Details she mentioned in passing that I should have paid more attention to. When she called me right after the interview, the one where she was crying from relief, she told me something I didn't fully process then. The officer asked me if I knew about German immigration law, Dalise had said. If I understood the fiancé visa requirements. What did you say? Well, I told her yes, that we have to marry within 90 days of my arrival, that after marriage, I apply for a residence permit, that I need to learn German to extend the permit. That's all correct. Good. She also asked if I knew about the financial requirements, the Verpflichtungserklärung you signed. And I told her yes, that you're financially responsible for me, that you have to support me. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Of course I'd support her. She was going to be my wife. That's what husbands do. But now I realize she knew the process too well. She knew the exact terms, the exact requirements. For someone who'd never applied for a German visa before, she had answers that were almost rehearsed. The officer had also asked her, according to Dalise, what will you do if the relationship doesn't work out? If you and Heinrich separate, Dalise told me she'd answered, I hope that never happens. But if it did, I would return to the Philippines. I'm coming to Germany for Heinrich, not just for Germany. The officer seemed satisfied with that answer. Approved the visa 2 weeks later. I remember feeling so proud of Dalise. She'd handled the interview perfectly, answered everything correctly, convinced a skeptical German immigration officer that our relationship was genuine. What I didn't know then was that she'd spent weeks preparing for that interview. Not with me, with someone else. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the day she arrived, November 8th, 2023. I got to Munich airport 3 hours early. I couldn't sit still at home. I kept checking the flight status on my phone. On time. Boarding. Departed Manila. In flight. Landed. I waited at the arrivals gate with a bouquet of flowers. Red roses. I felt like a teenager picking up his prom date. The flight landed at 6:30 in the morning. It took another 45 minutes for passengers to clear immigration and customs. I watched the automatic doors. Every time they opened, I looked for her. And then she was there. She saw me immediately, smiled, walked toward me pulling a large suitcase. She was wearing jeans and a sweater. Her hair was tied back. She looked tired. 14-hour flight, but she was here. She was real. She was in Germany. I hugged her. She hugged me back. "You're here," I said. "I'm here," she said. I gave her the flowers. She thanked me. We walked to the car. I'd cleaned it the day before. I loaded her suitcase into the trunk. We drove back to the apartment. During the drive, she was quiet. "Are you okay?" I asked. "Just tired?" "Yes, very tired. The flight was long. Of course, when we get home you can sleep. Rest as much as you need." She nodded. We got to the apartment. I showed her around. The living room, the kitchen, the bedroom, the bathroom. It's a 2-bedroom apartment, 90 square meters. Not huge, but comfortable. Good neighborhood. Quiet. "It's nice," she said. "Bigger than I expected. I'm glad you like it." She went to the bathroom, showered, changed into comfortable clothes. When she came out, I'd made coffee and set out some breakfast. Bread, cheese, jam, simple German breakfast. She sat down, ate a little, drank the coffee. "This is good," she said. "I'm so happy you're here, Dalise." She smiled, a small smile. "Me too." But something was off. I couldn't put my finger on it. She was polite, grateful, but distant, reserved. I told myself she was just tired, jet-lagged, overwhelmed. She'd just moved to a completely different country, different culture, different language, different climate. Of course, she needed time to adjust. "Why don't you go lie down?" I suggested. "Get some real sleep. We have plenty of time." She nodded, went to the bedroom, closed the door. She slept for 12 hours. The first week was strange. Dalise was polite. She thanked me for everything, for the food I cooked, for showing her around the neighborhood, for taking her to register at the Ausländerbehörde, a requirement for all foreigners staying in Germany more than 90 days. But she wasn't affectionate. Not like she'd been on video calls, not like she'd been during my visit to Manila. We slept in the same bed, but she stayed on her side. When I tried to hold her, she'd say she was tired. When I tried to kiss her, she'd turn her head, offer her cheek instead of her lips. "Is everything okay?" I asked her on the 4th night. "You seem distant." "I'm just adjusting, Heinrich. Everything is so different here. The language, the weather, the food. I need time." "Of course, take all the time you need." But it bothered me. During our video calls, she'd been so warm, so loving. She'd told me she couldn't wait to be intimate with me, to share a life with me. Now she was here, and she acted like we were roommates. I pushed the feeling down, told myself to be patient. She'd come around. We had to get married within 90 days. That was the visa requirement. We decided on a simple civil ceremony at the Standesamt, the registry office. No big wedding. No guests, just the two of us and the required witnesses, which the Standesamt would provide. We scheduled it for December 15th, 5 weeks after her arrival. In the meantime, we went through the motions of being a couple. I took her to see Munich, Marienplatz, the Viktualienmarkt, the English Garden. She took photos, posted them on Facebook, tagged me. Exploring München with my love. But when we were alone, she was cold. The wedding day came. December 15th, 2023. We went to the Standesamt. It was a 15-minute ceremony, very bureaucratic. The officiant read the legal text, asked if we consented to marry. We both said yes, signed the papers. 2 strangers served as witnesses. We were married. We went to a restaurant afterward, a nice Italian place near the apartment. Dalise ordered pasta. I ordered schnitzel. We ate. made small talk. She thanked me again. For everything. For bringing her to Germany. For marrying her. For giving her this opportunity. Opportunity. That word stuck with me. When we got home, I thought maybe things would change. We were married now. Maybe she'd been waiting for that. For the official commitment. I tried to initiate intimacy that night. She pushed me away. I'm not ready, Heinrich. We're married now. I know. But I'm still not comfortable. Please. Give me time. I didn't push. I didn't want to force anything. But I was confused. Hurt. This wasn't what I'd signed up for. The next step was applying for her residence permit. We had to submit the application within the first few weeks of marriage. More paperwork. More documents. Marriage certificate. Proof of housing. Proof of health insurance. Proof of my income. And another fee. €100 for the residence permit application. I paid it. Of course I did. What choice did I have? Dalice was cooperative during this process. She filled out her forms, provided her documents. We went to the Ausländerbehörde together for her appointment. The officer interviewed us briefly, asked basic questions about our relationship, how we met, how long we'd been together, our plans for the future, we answered. The officer seemed satisfied. You'll receive the decision in 4 to 6 weeks, he said. 6 weeks. More waiting. During those 6 weeks, Dalice started talking about going back to the Philippines to visit her family. I miss them, she said. I miss my mother. I haven't seen them in 2 months. You just got here. I know. But maybe in a few months? Once I have my residence permit? I could visit for a week or 2. That's expensive. Dalice, flights to Manila aren't cheap. I know. I'm not asking you to pay. Maybe I can get a job here. Save up. You can't work yet. Not until you have your residence permit. Right. I forgot. But she kept bringing it up. Every few days. When I get my permit, I want to visit home. I wonder how much flights cost. My mother is asking when I'll come back to visit. It felt like she couldn't wait to leave. The residence permit approval came in January 2024, 6 weeks after the application, just like they said. Dalice received a letter. Her residence permit was approved, valid for 1 year. She had to go to the Ausländerbehörde to get the card. We went together. They took her photo, printed the card, handed it to her. She held it, looked at it, smiled. I'm legal now. Legal. Another word that bothered me. That night, she was in a better mood than she'd been in weeks. She cooked dinner. Adobo. She was chatty. She even let me hold her hand while we watched TV. I thought maybe things were turning around. I was wrong. 2 days later, she told me she wanted to visit the Philippines, just for 2 weeks. I already looked at flights. There's a good price if I book now. How much? €850, round trip. That was a lot of money, but I was desperate to make her happy, to prove I was a good husband. Okay. Book it. She booked it that same day. Flight in 3 weeks. She'd leave February 2nd. Return February 16th. I helped her pack, bought her a new suitcase, gave her €500 spending money for her family. She kissed my cheek. Thank you, Heinrich. You're so good to me. Those 2 weeks she was gone were the loneliest of my life. The apartment felt empty. I called her every day. She was always busy. I'm with my mother. I'm visiting my aunt. I'm out with my brothers. She'd talk to me for 5 minutes, then hang up. When she came back, she was different, colder, more distant, and that's when things really started to fall apart. I need to clarify something. In Germany, we don't have green cards like in the United States. We have residence permits. Dalice's first permit was a 1-year temporary residence permit. After 3 years of marriage, she could apply for a permanent settlement permit. That's the equivalent of a green card. Permanent. No expiration. But the pattern, the behavioral pattern I'm about to describe, it's the same as what happens with green cards in the US. The timing, the shift, the transformation. After Dalice came back from the Philippines in February 2024, she barely spoke to me. She'd spend all day on her phone, video calls with her family, messaging friends, scrolling through Facebook, I'd try to start conversations. How was your day? What should we do this weekend? Do you want to go see a movie? One word answers. Fine. Nothing. No. We hadn't been intimate once since she arrived in Germany. Not once. 4 months of marriage. 4 months of living together. Nothing. I finally confronted her. March 2024, 3 months after the wedding. We were sitting at the kitchen table. She was on her phone. I was drinking coffee. Dalise, we need to talk. She looked up. About what? About us. About this marriage. You've been here 4 months. We've been married 3 months. And you act like you can't stand to be in the same room as me. She put her phone down. That's not true. It is true. You don't talk to me. You don't touch me. You sleep as far away from me as possible. What's going on? She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I'm homesick, Heinrich. I miss the Philippines. I miss my family. I miss the weather, the food, everything. Then why did you come here? Because I wanted to try. I wanted to see if I could build a life here. But it's harder than I thought. Are you saying you want to leave? I don't know. I need to think. Think about what? We're married. Dalise. You can't just leave. I can do whatever I want. That was the first time she'd been openly defiant. Hostile. I didn't know what to say. She stood up, went to the bedroom, closed the door. Over the next few months, she started mentioning divorce, casually at first. Maybe we're not compatible. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe we should just separate. I begged her to reconsider, to go to counseling, to give it more time. She refused. In June 2024, 7 months after she arrived, 6 months after we married, she told me she'd found an apartment. A small studio in a different part of Munich. She was moving out. You can't move out. We're married. We can be married and live separately. I need space. Heinrich, what about your residence permit? It's based on our marriage. She smiled. A strange, knowing smile. I talked to a lawyer. As long as we stay married for 3 years, I can get permanent residency. We don't have to live together. A lawyer? She'd talk to a lawyer. When? How? With what money? Who's paying for this lawyer? A friend is helping me. What friend? Just a friend. She moved out 2 weeks later. I helped her carry her boxes. What else could I do? Force her to stay? That's not legal. Not in Germany. She took the suitcase I'd bought her, the clothes I'd bought her, the phone I'd bought her, everything. I asked her if we'd see each other, if we'd try to work on the marriage. We'll see, she said. I didn't hear from her for 3 weeks. When I finally called her, she answered but sounded annoyed. What do you want, Heinrich? I want to know if we're going to try to save this marriage. There's nothing to save. But don't worry. I won't divorce you yet. I need to stay married for 3 years for permanent residency. After that, we can divorce. 3 years. She'd already calculated it. She had a timeline, a plan. I felt sick. So, that's it? You're just using me for the residence permit? You offered to marry me, Heinrich. I didn't force you. She hung up. I sat in the apartment, alone, trying to understand what had just happened. I'd spent over 3,000 euros on her visa process. Translations, applications, flights, her trip back to the Philippines, the apartment deposit for her new place, which she'd asked me to cover, just until she found work. I'd signed legal documents making me financially responsible for her, and she was openly telling me she was using me. I didn't know what to do. I tried to move on. I really did. For months, I just existed. I didn't contact Dalise. She didn't contact me. Technically, we were still married. Legally. On paper, but in every other sense, we were strangers. I talked to a lawyer in August 2024, a family law attorney in Munich. I explained the situation. I asked if I could get the marriage annulled, if I could report her for immigration fraud. The lawyer shook his head. It's complicated, Herr Heinrich. Annulment requires proof that she entered the marriage fraudulently from the beginning, that she never intended to live as your wife. Do you have evidence of that? She moved out after 6 months. She told me she's only staying married for residency. Did she say that in writing? In a text message? An email? No. On the phone. Then it's your word against hers. And even if you could prove it, the Ausländerbehörde doesn't automatically revoke residence permits in these cases. She could argue she tried to make the marriage work, that you were incompatible, that she has a right to stay in Germany now. So I'm just stuck. You can file for divorce. After 1 year of separation, the divorce is usually granted, but her residence permit won't necessarily be revoked. If she can prove she's integrated, learning German, working, supporting herself, they may let her stay. I felt trapped, completely trapped. The lawyer's consultation cost me €200. I went home, tried to forget about it, tried to focus on my own life. I started going to a gym, joined a hiking club, tried to meet new people, rebuild. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about Delice, about how she'd played me, how I'd been so stupid. And then, in October 2024, I found the proof. I was cleaning out the second bedroom, the one Dalice had used as storage when she lived with me. She'd left a few boxes behind. Said she'd pick them up eventually. She never did. I opened one of the boxes. Just old clothes, books, random items. At the bottom, there was a folder. Papers inside. I opened it. It was a printout. From an online forum. A Filipino expat forum. The website was called Pinoy in Deutschland. Filipinos in Germany. The printout was a thread, posted in March 2023, 2 months before Dalice applied for her visa. The username was Dalice Manila. The thread title, Best Strategy for Fiancé Visa to Germany? I felt my hands shaking as I read. The post said, "Hi everyone, I have a chance to get fiancé visa to Germany. A German man, 60 seconds, wants to marry me. I'm 34. I know it's a big age gap, but I really want to move to Germany for better opportunities. Can anyone share tips on how to make sure the visa gets approved? What questions do they ask at the embassy? How long do I have to stay married before I can get permanent residency? Any advice appreciated?" The responses were worse. One user wrote, "Congrats! The embassy will ask about your relationship. Make sure your stories match. Memorize details about how you met, when, where. Practice answering questions. They look for inconsistencies." Another, "You have to stay married for 3 years to get permanent residency, Niederlassungserlaubnis. After that, you can divorce and keep your permit as long as you're working or can support yourself." Another, "Make sure he signs the Verpflichtungserklärung. That makes him financially responsible for you even if you separate. You can take him to court if he doesn't support you." And Dalice's response to that comment, "He already signed it. Thanks for the tip." I read the entire thread, 23 posts. Dalice asking questions, other users giving advice. Step-by-step instructions on how to use a German man for a visa. She'd planned this from the beginning. Before she even applied for the visa, she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew she had to stay married for 3 years. She knew about the financial responsibility. She knew how to answer the embassy questions. Every "I love you," every "I can't wait to be with you," every "Thank you, Heinrich. You're so good to me." All of it was scripted, planned, fake. I printed out the entire thread, every page. I put it in a folder. I called my lawyer the next day. "I have evidence," I told him. I sent him the printouts. He reviewed them, called me back 2 days later. "This is good, Herr Heinrich. This shows premeditated fraud. You can file a complaint with the Ausländerbehörde. They may investigate. But I have to be honest, there's no guarantee they'll revoke her residence permit. She can argue she changed her mind, that she did try to make the marriage work, that the forum posts were just research, not proof of intent. But she admitted it. In writing. Online. Yes. But immigration law is lenient in these cases, especially if she's been in Germany for over a year and is integrating. They don't want to deport people who are working and contributing. So she just gets away with it? I'm sorry. The system isn't designed to handle this kind of fraud effectively. I filed the complaint anyway. Submitted the forum printouts. Gave a statement. The Ausländerbehörde opened an investigation. That was 2 months ago. I haven't heard anything back. Meanwhile, I checked Dalice's Facebook. She's still in Munich. She has a job now, working at a call center for an international company. She posted photos of herself at Oktoberfest. Smiling, happy, free. She got exactly what she wanted. I tallied up everything I spent, every single euro. Visa application and fees, 75 euros. Document translations, 300 euros. Health insurance, 3 months pre-arrival, 420 euros. Flight from Manila to Munich, 850 euros. Residence permit application, 100 euros. Her apartment deposit when she moved out, 1,200 euros. Her trip back to Philippines, flight plus spending money, 1,350 euros. Lawyer consultations, 200 euros. Miscellaneous food, clothes, phone, etc., 800 euros. Total, 5,295 euros. 5,295 euros. That's over $5,600. And I'm still legally married to her, still financially responsible under the Verpflichtungserklärung. If she loses her job and can't support herself, she can sue me for financial support. That's the law in Germany. I'm trapped in a marriage that never existed, with a woman who never loved me, who saw me as nothing more than a visa. It's November 2024 now. Dalice has been in Germany for exactly 1 year. We've been married for 11 months. She needs 2 more years before she's eligible for permanent residency. I don't know if she'll stay married to me that long. I don't know if she'll divorce me early and try to fight for her permit anyway. I don't know if the Ausländerbehörde investigation will go anywhere. What I do know is that she got away with it. She's living in Munich, working, building a life. She has friends. She goes out. She travels around Europe on weekends. I see it all on Facebook. She doesn't hide it. And I'm here, alone, in the apartment where I thought we'd build a life together. People ask me how I didn't see it coming, how I didn't realize. I ask myself the same thing. Looking back, the signs were obvious. She knew too much about the visa process. She had answers ready for every question. Her behavior changed the moment she arrived. She refused intimacy. She moved out as soon as she legally could. She had a timeline. But I didn't want to see it. I wanted to believe that a beautiful younger woman could love me. That I wasn't just a retirement visa to her. I was lonely, desperate, stupid. Here's what I should have noticed. What anyone in my position should notice. Red flag has shown. She knew the German visa process in detail before I even researched it. She knew about the Verpflichtungserklärung. She knew about the 3-year requirement. That's not normal, unless she'd done this before or researched it extensively. Red flag #2. She was introduced by someone I trusted, Grace, my colleague's wife. That made me let my guard down. I didn't question her motives because I thought the introduction was legitimate, but Grace barely knew Dalice. They were distant cousins. Grace had no idea what Dalice was planning. Red flag #3. She never asked for money during the relationship, but she knew I was paying for everything. The visa process, the flights, the translations. She acted grateful, but she expected it. She knew I'd pay. Red flag #4. Her behavior changed instantly upon arrival. No adjustment period, no gradual shift. Immediate coldness. That's not culture shock. That's someone who got what they wanted and stopped pretending. Red flag #5. She refused intimacy from day one, but didn't end the relationship. She needed to stay married. So she tolerated me just enough to keep the marriage legally intact. Red flag #6. She moved out but insisted we stay married. That's not normal. If you're unhappy in a marriage, you divorce, unless you need the marriage for legal status. Red flag #7. She already had a lawyer lined up. She knew her rights. She knew what she could and couldn't do. That takes planning. Red flag #8. The forum posts. The evidence that she'd been planning this for months before she even met me. If you're reading this, if you're a Western man considering sponsoring someone's visa, especially someone much younger, from a different country, who you met online or through a casual introduction, please, listen to me. Ask yourself, why does she need me specifically? Why can't she apply for a visa on her own? Why does she need to marry me to move to my country? If the answer is because she doesn't qualify otherwise, because she doesn't have the education, the job, the income, the skills, then ask yourself, am I a partner to her or am I a means to an end? Don't ignore red flags because you're lonely. Don't ignore them because you want to believe in love. Don't ignore them because she's beautiful or affectionate or says all the right things. People who genuinely love you don't need a visa to prove it. I reported Dalisay to the immigration authorities. I gave them everything. The forum posts, the timeline, the evidence. I don't know if it'll matter. The German system is slow, bureaucratic, forgiving. She'll probably get to stay. She'll get her permanent residency in 2 more years. She'll divorce me. She'll move on with her life. And I'll be here. 62 years old, divorced, twice. Scammed. Humiliated. I'm tired of talking about this. I'm tired of reliving it. But if my story stops even one man from making the same mistake, then maybe it was worth it. Don't be me. Don't be the visa. Don't be the opportunity. Be smarter than I was.